Well, the warmer hues of spring, summer, and fall have come and gone. Tomorrow is the winter solstice, turning things over on December 21st to the harsh winter months here on the eastern seaboard of the United States. But the racing does not stop in the virtual world. This is the final round of the season for the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. And just to remind us of the warmer months we had just recently, we're heading out to the West Coast, the virtual WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, for our final round of the season. Just a fun non-points round, I should say, with the Radical SR10, an open cockpit light prototype here at this racetrack. 2 18-minute races lie ahead. Kyle Heyer alongside Connor Horn. Connor, welcome back. It's always fun to end a season on something that doesn't have any stakes to it. The champions have already been awarded. DJ Alessandrini in the Porsches, Ken Hauseal in the TCRs, and now something a little different for everybody.
Yeah, a little different for everyone, but it should be a lot of fun, no doubt about that. These Radical SR10s are pretty sleek, very fun to whip around. The old Radicals are especially fun. These ones are no different, especially around a track like Laguna Seca, a little bit of a tight track. These cars a little bit lighter, not as wide, should make for some good racing. I think we already had a race here a few months ago that was exceptionally fun. As you look at the weather on the bottom right of the screen, this should be no different.
Yeah, and qualifying is underway for our 2 18-minute heat races tonight. Relatively smaller field, but this is a challenging race car that comes with some caveats. This Radical SR10, a light open cockpit prototype. These are really interesting machines. They don't have a ton of horsepower, Connor, but they don't weigh hardly anything. But what they do have is a ton of downforce for their size. That's going to create a very different racing environment than we had with the Porsche Cup cars and the TCRs. Very lightweight, nimble prototypes in contrast to the GT and touring car machinery we ran all season. That might mix things up at the front too.
Yeah, it might change the way people drive. We've seen some drivers struggle with the Porsche. Some people have struggled in TCRs, but we're all under the same banner tonight. These things are really fun to whip around the track, so I think you can be very aggressive with the way you drive this thing. You got to still be a little bit careful. That downforce can catch you out at times, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a factor around this track. This thing's just fun to drive around as Hauseal slows down. He went 1:18.13. Alessandrini is about a half second faster than that, as we still got a number of drivers putting more times down. 3-lap qualifying.
Peter Enzer in the number 49 is one of the cars working his way around course right now. As far as lap times go, times in the sub 120 bracket, which is extremely fast. Now, I didn't have really much of a reference point for lap times at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca until I was here with Grid Life just a couple of months ago. The fastest car that we have, which was Robin Schutt's Pikes Peak hill climb car, did a 1:10.9. We're only 7 seconds off of that. While that's a fairly sizable margin, this is not a GTP or LMP2 level race car. This is a track day toy, an upmarket one for sure, but with it comes a lot of speed and a lot of pace, and that can make things challenging, especially when you have to contend with that downforce component. As you brake, the downforce comes off. You're relying more and more on mechanical grip, which this car doesn't have a ton of at low speed, so it is a unique and challenging vehicle in its own right.
I think that's what makes it a little bit of fun. You have all the downforce in the world until you get to your braking point, which is really when the racing happens, when you get to your braking zone and try to make a pass opportunity work. That's when it gets wild, because you're both going to be on the brakes pretty hard, and you might not have the grip to make it stick, and that's what makes racing good, when you got guys almost on each other's doors just trying to make the corner while trying to make passes. So that should be fun if we see that happen as we look up and down the board. Alessandrini's now pretty much 1 second removed from Ken Hauseal. Almost everyone else has got their time down. Ed Harris is one of those who does. Ed Harris is the only driver to not have a time down.
Yeah, he's made 2 cracks at it so far. This is his second crack at it. Alessandrini, a 1:17 flat last time by, but it was an off-track lap, so it did not count for him. Ken Hauseal's done a 1:18.1, and I think those two, again, as the class champions, are going to be tough to beat. Here's turn 6. That's a challenging area of the racetrack, but I want to take you through an entire lap here. This is what WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca looked like before the 1980s. This was a much, much faster layout of the racetrack that kind of skipped what is now I consider the infield section. But in the late 1980s, in order to slow the racetrack down, it had some passing opportunities and meet a minimum track length requirement for motorcycle racing. They extended it with this Andretti hairpin down here at turn 2, then turns 3, 4, and 5, extending the layout now to 2.238 miles, and then the run up to turn 6 remains the same. Turn 7 and 7A, which is the corkscrew, then turn 8 and 9, leading down through Rainy Curve into turn 10, and then into turn 11, which is the hairpin, we call that. That'll lead you back up onto the main straightaway. 2.4 miles, or 2.24 miles or thereabouts, Connor, but they pack a lot of unique corners in. But everybody knows the corkscrew. It's one of motorsport's most iconic corners, probably in the world.
Yeah, definitely one of the most iconic in the world for sure. And it's, oddly enough, you can kind of call it a passing opportunity. I would not be surprised to see some drivers tonight try to use it as a passing opportunity. You can forget the Zanardi pass years ago. If you can get the run out of 6, really tricky corner. You can get through here well with a run on someone, as you can see the tire marks out of that corner. If someone makes a mistake up there, then you have to run up the corkscrew, and then you can maybe make that move. But you almost have to have them completely clear before then, or else you might make contact, might go flipping down the hill for all we know.
And there's that multi-story drop. It's about 4 stories here, and it's about 10 stories from there down around to turn number 11 here. That is the final final corner on the racetrack, turn 11. David Castellania in the number 33 is the last driver to still be on the racetrack, other than Darian Taggart in the number 11, who works his way around turn 10 as well. Now, race starts as well. This is going to be a challenging thing. These cars get up to speed relatively quickly, but their maximum velocity isn't all that fast, Connor. So what we are going to see a lot of, even at the track this short, is draft.
Yeah, the draft is going to play a big factor, and especially, obviously, in this front straight section of the track is where you're going to see a lot of it used up. I was looking at Alessandrini's top speed into one of his laps. He hit 150 going into turn number 1. That's likely going to be the fastest speed we see. You're probably only going to get to about 130 around any other part of the track. You might get the 140 before that corkscrew, but yeah, there's going to be high speeds, and that slipstream, especially here, this is going to be another section. If you get a run on someone who can utilize the slipstream, maybe make a move down driver's left here, but that's going to be a tight place to get it done. So that slipstream is going to be very vital, as we have a lot of straightaways at this track.
Love the onboard look over the shoulder here at Taggart. Through turn 6, watch the rumbles there. And then up into the corkscrew gun. This is a blind entry here on the brakes as the downforce peels off. You got to watch out for locking up those brakes. No anti-lock braking system, nor traction control on this car. It's all done with your feet. Ripping around down here through turn 10 again. 2 18-minute races as well, which 18 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but with 15 cars and a new car to everybody, that could make it feel like a long time. There's plenty of time for the race to play out quite a bit.
It might get a little bit more strung out. That could make it even longer for some of these drivers who are just going to be on their own. As the 11 makes one more lap, Taggart will probably make at least, well, he won't be able to do one more, but he'll run this out, just trying to get practice. You talked about a new car for everyone. No one really runs this. There is an official series, but to my knowledge, it's not the most popular series in iRacing, to my recollection. So not a lot of experience for a lot of drivers, especially in SCCA competition. I don't think a lot of drivers run this, so new to everyone. Yeah,
they're I wouldn't say that they're uncommon at track days, but as far as organized racing, there is a series that does it, but it is a little bit few and far between. And just for reference, the Radical SR10 starts at about $170,000. So the SR3 might be a bit of a better starting point. The SR8, one of iRacing's older pieces of content, also maybe a better starting point. But track toy taken to the extreme. Now, that's still only about half the price of a GT4 car, though. So if you're looking for something reliable-ish and track-dayable, you can start there. But kind of an intro to downforce cars here in iRacing. But with that out of the way, 18 minutes and about 14 laps is our first race distance. We'll head down to the racetrack here in just a moment. And now the unique thing about this is that normally you'd see these, at least in iRacing, in a standing start capacity, but we are not going to be doing that tonight. We'll be rolling starts in these, which will be, I think, unique. with about 8 rows of cars in behind. Have another look at the weather here before we get rolling. 68 degrees in the air. That's very, very cool here for California. Maybe not at this time. It is NorCal in December, so probably fairly normal right now. Track temp 74 degrees. That's high grip conditions, which should help. A lot of the drivers were saying with the open or the fixed setup in particular, they were having trouble getting this thing to stick to the road.
Yeah, it's not surprising with the fixed setups the way they are. As you can see a few drivers blinking their lights. That could have been fun to see the lack of grip come into play, but I think it's definitely going to be a little bit more fun to see these drivers whip around this track, and it is a fun track to lap in almost any car. This is no different. I love having downforce at tracks like these. You could just go around any corner. You feel like Superman. It's going to be one of those nights. Do not hit each other on the pace lap. They almost did back there, but either way, it should be really fun to watch all these drivers lap this track and race.
Here is your starting lineup for this race. It's DJ Alessandrini, the number 61. He'll start on the inside of the front row. Ken House-Seal starts alongside him, TCR champ from this season, in position number 2.
And 2 more fast drivers on row number 2, Darian Taggart, and that Caterpillar number 11. He'll start 3rd. Jack Chrissy will start 4th.
And behind them, it's Francois Brou, the number 69. Ryan Otis starts 6th in the number 15.
Dr. Pepper Radical, that's Adam Kovac, who starts 7th. He'll be alongside the Apple machine, that's Louis Alessi in 8th.
And 9th place, it's Ed Harris in the number 2 car. Kevin Zhu rolls off 10th in the number 1.
Peter Enser, number 49, a blank Radical. He starts 11th. Nathan Brackman will start 12th.
And the last full row of cars, Murphy Nichols starts 13th in the number 5. Richard Sawicki rolls off 14th in the 528. And David Castellina starts in last in 15th place in that number 33. Now, I know Peter Enser and Richard Sawicki both have experience driving Miatas in the real world. This is like the Miata version of a prototype. It's kind of your entry-level vehicle as far, not by price, but by performance, to lead you up into things like if you were to take a iRacing trajectory rather than a financial one, you would run these, then LMP3, LMP2, and Ken House-Seal's rolling to a stop, and he's out off the track. Maybe qualifying fuel?
I wonder if his computer crashed. That seemed
It looked like it controlled peel off. I wonder if it was qualifying fuel that he'd forgotten to put in full fuel, but that is odd.
His quality's dropping, so I don't think it was a fuel thing, but that will move up Jack Chrissy to the front row, and House-Seal effectively out of this first race. Yeah,
that's it could be a VR issue as well. I'm not sure if he's been on VR. He also, I think he got a new graphics card, so there's a bunch of things it could be. But Alessandrini, the multicolored 61, is going to have Darian Taggart behind him, Jack Chrissy kitty corner, as they roll out of turn number 11. It's a fairly long run down to the front straightaway here. And waiting for the green here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Fun race, no points on the line, but bragging rights certainly are. Green flag flies, and Alessandrini leads the screaming field down to the green flag. Into the first corner, it's a battle for second and beyond. Francois Brou in the middle of this, Kevin Zhu. They were 3 wide on the front stretch, heading down into 1. This is actually turn 2 down there at the Andretti hairpin. And now into 3. This is just right-hander, then 4, which leads you towards that 5 and 6 left-hand complex.
And now Sandrini's clear away. Taggart's away to get clear for the second position now. And we're already pretty single file. Everyone trying to get in line, but I don't think they want to be side by side through that corkscrew. So we'll see if anyone wants to make moves before them, possibly, as they're pretty tight behind Adam Kovac. It's Ed Harris right behind him.
Yeah, there's Richard Sawicki just off the nose of Peter Enser here through turn 6. Through the first time, there's going to be one car off track. Who was that? Is Adam Kovac. Goes for a pretty wild ride, but he'll gather it up and continue. Taggart has a look at Jack Chrissy into the corkscrew, but he can't have it.
Ed Harris went off a little bit with Kovac. He lost a spot to Peter Enser, but they're all through. Alessi and Brou go side by side. They did not make contact as the Apple car gets through, at least trying to get a position from Brou, who's starting to fall a little bit down the order here. They've already fallen behind Kevin Zhu. A lot of rhyming names I'm starting to talk about.
Brou. Now up on the front straightaway, lap 1 complete. It's going to be about 13 to make that 12 more laps, give or take.
Oh, Taggart's way wide turn 1. He's going to lose that spot. Ryan Otis got by him. Don't know if he hit a curb or what, but he went way wide.
Yeah, there's not really a curb to hit on entry. Maybe he just tried to widen it out too much, or he locked up the brakes right here. He's on the gray stuff, kind of released the pedal and didn't get it slowed down all the way. Again, no ABS in these cars, so if things go awry, you're going to be struggling there. But just like that, Taggart takes third place back. Otis drops to fourth, and then the closest battle now shifts back here between Enzer in the black car and Harris on the inside of the Porsche liveried Radical.
Yeah, Otis went wide. That's what let Taggart get back by. And then Enzer and Ed Harris really mixed it up. Got really tight in those few corners. Nathan Brackman off in the back, but he keeps it straight. But Enzer just trying to maintain a little bit. He's actually gone through the field already pretty early on.
Drop down the corkscrew. That unseats all your downforce. That's a pretty tricky corner. I can tell you from having a couple rides around here in a GLTC spec Corvette, the compression, when you low spin in the background, it's David Castellina. The compression when you come down over that crest is super violent. And David was already sideways coming down the corkscrew here. And then the tires were hot and it just never re-gripped.
Yeah, he drifted out of the corkscrew looking back on it. And yeah, that was definitely a case of having the tires too heated up to make that move as we go through to Adam Koback. Nathan Brackman trying to mix it up. Lock up ahead. Ed Harris is around just in front of them, but he'll be off track and he'll lose more positions. But Koback's just trying to recover from his off out of 6.
Yeah, he'll continue, and Harris just got loose on his own. Went around for a bit of a loop, so. Taggart, notice, up in third place.
Another crash. Enzer's around.
Peter Enzer. Let's see what happened to him here.
Downforce really costing people a lot of time. It does wide there, but it's going to be the next corner where it hurts him.
Yeah, they had gravel all over the tires. It never re-gripped, and he kept it out of the wall, so he'll be able to continue without any major dramas or damage, but it's going to cost him some time. Francois Bruce all over Louis Alessi here for 6th place. Listen to this thing scream.
It's fun to listen to as well. These two are on top of each other, and they both have some front end damage. I thought I saw people maybe tapping each other before the start of the race, but Alessi's got a little bit of right front damage, and then on the left front of Brew, I can see a little bit of damage as well. I don't think it's going to affect too much of this battle for 6th, but it's something to look at.
Yeah, the draft is going to assist here. Again, not a lot of straightaway at Laguna Seca. It's really just this main stretch, and then the run from 6 to the corkscrew, but even that's not a very long run, so you can't just draft right back up to somebody. It might assist you a bit. See Alessi clobber some curb there, and that will allow Brew to close back in this battle for 6th.
And this is the closest battle on the track, but this part of the track, it's so difficult to really do anything. You're just kind of waiting for another corner to make a passing opportunity. This is just, this infield section, as you call it, it's almost just a follow me section. You just have to sit behind the guy and hope he makes a mistake. Maybe you can get him before the corner, or you're just gonna have to stay right on his rear bumper, diffuser, whatever car you're gonna drive. You just have to sit and wait until maybe this corner on the exit.
Yeah, that's turn 6, and that's another amazing compression. It's almost painful going through there and feeling the car slam into the pavement. And then into the corkscrew. Love this section. Again, it's famous for a reason. Down the hill and into Rainy Curve. I always said, when I took my first rides around here a couple of months ago, the corkscrew is only the 3rd best corner here. Turn 6, way better. Turn 10, or turn 9 rather, Rainy Curve, way better. And maybe turn 10. Even some drivers told me turn 10 is more fun to drive than the corkscrew. So I'm not sure if it's a speed or compression related thing, but the corkscrew is a great turn, but there are others that overshadow it. Here comes Brew for 6 on the inside of Alessi, but the cones block off that assault. Here he comes later on the brakes.
Oh, it's a bit deep though. He's gonna shut Alessi off here though, so he's gonna make that pass work. Even barreling through some cones, it didn't hurt him. He gets the spot, but yeah, you see a lot of tracks around the world. They have one corner, maybe sometimes two, that are iconic and make you remember that track. How about just having 3 to 4 at a track like Laguna Seca? It's pretty impressive in its own right.
Yeah, it's not even that those corners are even really iconic. I wouldn't disagree that they are, but they're not as well known as the corkscrew as Alessi runs a bit wide. It's just that when you drive them, everyone talks about how cool the corkscrew is, and you're like, that's not even the cool one. It's this one everyone talks about. Alessi misses 6 and goes off in the gravel. Here comes Sawicki up into 7th place.
And then Koback will take 8th as well, and that will put him far down the order, closer to Nathan Brackman, who's at 10th. As everyone's still running, Seal did get back on track, but he's obviously a lap down, just running laps for warm-up for the 2nd race. Meanwhile, Alessandrini's way out in front, about probably 4 seconds over Jack Chrissy. There was a battle for 3rd heating up between Darian Taggart and Ryan Otis.
Yeah, these two have been going at it since the drop of the green. It should be fun to watch Ken in the 2nd race try to pass everybody. That would be good fun indeed. About 11 minutes to go. That translates to about 9 laps remaining in the race. Taggart and Otis run 3rd and 4th, and then Kobach and Sawicki is also a gap that seems fairly volatile. We'll take you to whichever one is better, which right now it's this Otis and Taggart fight.
And that slipstream is even stronger than I thought it was. Even on this little short shoot, Otis closes up a big time. Taggart even slipped the rear of the car there. You can see from our onboard cam. Otis is all over him now. He was about 2/10 faster last time by Kevin Zhu wide behind this, but he's still going straight. See that slipstream just giving Otis such a huge advantage.
Yeah, right here, especially at the end of the straightaway, but you only have the same braking force as the car ahead of you, even though you're coming in with a higher velocity, so you have to contend with that as well. It's going to lose some time here as Sawicki and Kobach for 7th is tightening up 0.2 of a second into the downhill here.
A little bit of a lockup from Kobach, but he kept it off the 5.28 of Sawicki. These two is going to be a tough pass, where Kobach will probably wait until the front straightaway to really make this pass. I think he would give Sawicki a chance to slipstream back by him if he made it in the final corner, but even then, it's not close enough. Neither is Otis.
Ed Harris, I think, is off by a handful of seconds from his best laps. Let's see what just happened to him. Oh, he was off at 6. It seems like. Ooh.
Oh, Enser completely undercut the turn, and he had nowhere to go.
Yeah, right at the apex of 6, there's a huge anti-cut curb, and I think he just clipped it with the front assembly of the car. It shot him offline, slowed him down, and that brought Harris right into the mix as well. So they're going to get back going, but they both lost about 4 seconds to the rest of the pack ahead of them. Otis and Taggart still remain some of the closest drivers in the field, about 0.4 of a second between them. Alessandrini's gone 4.8 seconds up the road from Chrissy and climbing. He jumped back on board over the shoulder of Ryan Otis.
Otis is a touch faster. It's just extremely difficult to get within range to actually make the attempt at the pass. Sometimes even the air here in these cars will really affect you through corners, so you just have to be focused. Plus, just not seeing the corner is probably going to hurt Otis a little bit here, so you just got to really focus up when you're trying to chase someone down like Otis is, and also the way Adam Kobach is. As Sawicki really fired into that corner, or maybe Kobach just undershot it.
Yeah, both these battles are pretty intense at the moment and could change any time. Here's Otis on board into turn 1, or turn 2 rather. Fairly conservative entry here. Maybe, ooh, see Taggart wiggle and wobble, but a tighter line for the 11, and he'll maintain his 0.3 of a second gap.
Yeah, behind this, Adam Kobach won't get the Sawicki for a move, as these two are more now closer, as he's inching closer and closer to the Caterpillar number 11. Just when he gets that close, it seems like he loses that advantage that he has. The air on the nose starts to get heavier, and the aero push gets a little bit worse, as you can see him lose even more ground into the next corner even.
Yeah, what you're gaining in the draft, you're losing with aero push here. Through turn 6, get a big compression center corner, and then look at the throttle up here.
Good corner, just not close enough to really do anything unless you're maybe on the final lap, and maybe next race when it's the final lap of the season you'll try it, but not right now.
Yeah, that's a tricky place to make a pass. You can certainly do it, it's just not your first option, right? You're going to look for a bigger slowdown, like coming in here to 11, or maybe turn 2, the Andretti hairpin. It's really challenging to make the corkscrew pass stick because, whoa, Taggart sideways. If you have a slip in the left, or you have the preferred line in the left, you're going to lose it the next time you turn to the right. Here comes Otis to the outside here for third, Connor.
I thought he would be. I thought he'd be in the slipstream a little bit longer, but instead he's just going to back out of it and get to driver's right immediately. But there's not a lot of grip out there, so Taggart, he's just able to full throttle back up through the corner. We saw it the last time we watched racing here. That outer line in turns 1 and 2, there's really just turn 1. There's no grip out there, so you're always going to give the driver trying to pass you. You're always going to give him driver's right.
He's got to keep an eye out for any other slipping and sliding in the gravel there. We saw drivers dip tires off earlier and then spun out the next corner. And now he's right in the slipstream here of the number 11. He's probably too close, especially for turn 6. You have to watch running wide there when you don't have all the air you'd like on your nose.
But he did a good job getting through there. He won't really be close enough for a look, but he did a good job not going off track and just maintaining as best a gap possible. And maybe next run up the hill, he might have a shot. Very wide again, though. You can see he's pushing hard, and that slipstream is not helping. He's almost in the gravel every single corner.
Yeah, this car kind of defaults to a safe understeer condition And if you get it sideways, it will snap on you. So you have to be pretty progressive with your inputs in it. If you get too aggressive and it snaps around, it's just got such a short wheelbase that you're not going to save it. You're just going to get turned around. This is the challenge of these small prototypes, is that short wheelbase and then controlling oversteer. As it sounds like, whoops, a little slip there for Otis, and Ed Harris has also had another somewhat major slowdown here. This was at turn 5.
The nose is looking a lot worse. See what happened in 5. On track there.
Runs wide up onto the curbing and spins, and pow, that's a big hit there as well.
Yeah, that won't do him in. He's still running, but another big hit to the nose. He's had a few of those this race, as he'll be able to continue regardless, as Alessandrini still strengthening that lead. Jack Chrissy strengthening his gap over the battle for 3rd, which is still ongoing, and that battle for that 8th position is getting a little bit closer again. I thought Sawicki was pulling away, but Kobach has reeled him back in a little bit. He's got a good run up the hill.
My only experience in one of these cars is riding. My buddy Ben's got an SR3. Very different level of performance as far as compared to this SR10, but the only thing I can tell you, my neck was sore after riding for 3 laps, and I can only imagine what it takes to drive one of these, especially when you're not a conditioned professional race car driver. But here in the sim, you don't have to worry about that, especially in these high G corners, but it can be hard to just look at where you're going. But Kobach, Sawicki, 7th and 8th, and then further up the road, it's Otis and Taggart still keeping it exciting for 3rd place.
Otis just cannot find any way to make this start to happen even. There's one thing to even get it done, but you got to start the process of making this pass work. He just hasn't been really close enough, besides his move up the outside in turn 1 looks like a little bit, I could see who that was wide.
Kobach.
I think that was
Kobach slipped in that battle with Richard Sawicki here through the Andretti hairpin. Just too much throttle too quickly and just loop the car around. That's the easiest thing to do, leaving a slow corner when you don't have any downforce on the car.
And he's going to have to get back by Alessi as he even fell behind him. So that battle's going to fizzle out there. So he's going to keep control of it. Oh, we're on the right there, I think. But either way, this battle for 3rd continues.
Oh, that was Jack Chrissy.
Oh, it was Chrissy. That was from 2nd.
Yeah, out of 2nd place. And that was just same thing, but in the corkscrew, just throttling up and looping the car. So now that battle we were just watching between Otis and Taggart, that's for 2nd place now.
Yeah, and Chrissy is pretty fast compared to those two before, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time to really get back up there in time. As I don't know if Ed Harris had another off, but he did park the car. But, well, like you said, that battle for 2nd's back on.
Keeping our eyes on where DJ Alessandrini is. We should be coming to, I think, 2 laps to go next time by. Ed Harris on pit lane. Everyone else still up and rolling. Ken Hausila lap down because of that disconnection early on in the race. But here's your leader. Lonely 15 seconds clear of the rest of the field.
He's used to it.
Yeah, he sure is. I think he was one of the folks tasked with picking this combination for this non-points race. I don't think it was the most popular choice that they could have made, but I think it was certainly unique and different than what we've run in the past. I can't recall the last time we've ever streamed a Radical race on SimTV. It's been at least years.
Yeah, at least, and it's still a good car regardless. Whether it's the 10 or the 8, they're both really fun. I really loved racing the 8 Radical. Incredibly fun and nimble, just like this car is. And this one's a little bit more advanced. But either way, this is a really fun track car combo. And Taggart is turned on the afterburners. He's pulled away from Otis just a little bit, as looks like everyone's pretty spread out. Alessi and Kobach might become another close battle. That would be for that 8th position.
Otis is going to have to cast his line a little bit farther out into the bay if he wants to catch Taggart. 0.7 of a second is the differential now. Alessi, Kobach, 8th and 9th. This is the next closest battle on the track. 0.7 of a second between these two, as Kobach is on a recovery and was 0.3 better last time by, unsurprisingly, because he was running so much further up before. That could get interesting as well. Here's Alessandrini, though, headed down the hill. He'll be coming back to a white flag next time by.
And he'll get this one done and try to go back and do it once again in the second race. It'll be the same exact length, no matter what. So he's just going to have to Try to just make sure he does get away in turn one. That's really all it's going to end up being, is Otis closed in on Taggart a little bit, and the corkscrew just not close to make a move. But yeah, Alessandrini, he just really is, his main challenge is making sure he gets away with the lead in turn one. He'll probably go back to back again as he takes that white flag.
Yeah, the car he would have to worry about would be Ken House-Seal, but he'll be starting pretty deep in the field, about 13th place. I don't think he's going to do much better than that, so he'll have a lot of cars to pass here as the rest of the field comes to the white flag, and Otis is running out of time, running out of laps to get this job done.
Too far back this time, but Taggart was sideways under braking. He's going to go wide. He's going to miss the corner.
Yeah, he messed that up a long ways back and just missed the braking marker and threw that one in the trash.
He threw that position completely away. I can't honestly believe that. Otis gave it back to him last time, but he won't get away with this one. He's just too wide under braking. Just never, when he hit the brakes, he was never in a straight line, and he just got completely cocked sideways, and that's the second time he did that this race.
Yeah, and the other piece of that is he started braking on the curbing, on the rumble strip there, so that's going to upset the car as well. Car's not going to take kindly to being on the rumbles and then having to stop. So Alessandrini through Rainy Curve the final time, made this one look pretty easy. And it's 16.6 seconds out ahead. Nathan Brackman has also had a spin. That's down at the Andretti hairpin, I believe. But here comes DJ Alessandrini. He's won one of the two races tonight, trying to go back-to-back in the last race of the season, put a cap on his championship at the Porsche Cups. DJ Alessandrini wins race one here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca.
And these cars, with the way the tires work, he was getting faster and faster as the race played out. He was consistently in the low minute 17s. Oh, and Taggart spun again, and Chrissy piles into him in the final corner. Now it's a drag race to see who gets going quick enough.
I think Taggart's going to win that drag race, and he will. Taggart to third, Chrissy fourth. What happened there?
It looked like Taggart spun, and Chrissy had nowhere to go.
Just right into him.
Yeah, I've never seen something like that. It's pretty funny. But meanwhile, final corner, Alessi will be able to hold off Kobach for that 8th position. Further back, looks like I think Brackman's going to hold on to that 10th. Actually, no, Enzer's going to get him for that 10th position. As you could look how sideways Kobach gets here.
Yeah, watch this as he throttles up out of turn 11. He's going to kick this Radical out sideways. Right there. Watch that counter steer.
The wheel work.
That was wild.
That is incredible.
So the last remaining cars coming across the stripe. So before we reset to the second race and before our timing, well, it just did. Timing and scoring got reset. Alessandrini, Otis, Taggart, Chrissy, your top four. And we'll take a couple minutes of warm-up here, Connor. What we learned from race one, Alessandrini's good, but these cars are touchy and tricky.
Yeah, these cars are definitely a beast that you have to make sure you do not underestimate. We saw that from everyone else but Alessandrini. It seemed like everyone else had at least one mistake in this race, so you got to be careful while battling someone. Do not make a mistake. It's really easier to make a mistake on your own than being forced to make a mistake, because a lot of those errors were completely unforced. So everyone from Otis all the way back to Ed Harris, who will start 14th, is going to be in a bind just to try to keep the car on the track.
Well, this is the final race of the season for the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. Now, there will likely be a late winter or early spring series, so if you're an SCCA member, you can join. So make sure you go to the region website to learn how to participate in this. As far as the SimTV side, after tomorrow, we're off until January 4th. So we'll be looking forward to the holidays and taking some time off before we refire up in 2024. All exciting things coming that way, including the studio refresh coming our way, which is going to change the look of some things here at the SimTV studio. Behind me, we're going to put some wood up, some wood slats, some 3D printed logos and things. So all really exciting changes coming in 2024 for the whole of SimTV, including these cool transition background whirly-bird effects. I'm really happy with how those turned out, and we're going to take the whole place in that direction. So all excited for those things as we await the green flag for our second race of the night, Connor.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting to see what goes on back there. I'm sure we'll see more cat cameos as well, like we did last night.
I don't want to. He's sleeping in his bed right next to the monitor, so I didn't want to drag him out just for the show. But he is doing well. For those that didn't know, my cat, love my cat, but he's got FELV, which is feline leukemia virus. He just went to the vet. Everything's looking good, but is taking an immune support to help his white blood cell count. But love that guy. Coming up on about 1 year, 7 months of age or so. Lovely little cat. So as drivers continue to warm up here as we get prepped for our second race, 18 minutes, Connor. Short race in time, but it felt pretty long. It had a long time to play out. So is there some probably more conserving that should be done from some of the drivers that found themselves looped around at some point?
I don't see some drivers try to be a little bit conservative in the first maybe 5-10 minute range or so, but after that you really won't have time to save because the laps are going to click off like that before you even know it. So you got to be careful, as you're going to have to keep the tires on. You don't want to spin like how Seal just did out of the exit of the corner. But one thing that's going to help you with that tire conservation is that we still have a very cool track because it's very late in the day sim time. That track temp's only 73 degrees and the wind's not going to really affect your cars as well. So you really shouldn't have to save too much more than what you would do anyways. You always got to make sure to not slide them. You slide these tires once, they are not going to work through the rest of the way.
Coming up on 7 p.m. in the sim time, which make things nice and pretty here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. I will say my trip here a couple of months ago, I didn't really, this is one of those tracks that I had never really been all that excited to go see. I'd heard so many drivers tell me that once you do the corkscrew, it's kind of a one-trick pony, but the scenery around there, it is genuinely one of the most beautiful racetracks in the country. And if you're out west and haven't gone there, you should make an effort to get there in 2024's racing season. Really cool place, feels old school. It's got some of the coolest campgrounds, I think, in North American motorsports because you're literally in the mountains in your own in your own little world. It is a really unique racetrack. I like Sonoma as well, but WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca has got something that Sonoma doesn't have, and that's that famous corkscrew.
Yeah, it really can't beat it. And like you said, the scenery is going to get good around this sim time. So that'll be cool to see these cars whipping around this track. Very late on, kind of, I guess, I won't know poetic's the word, but final race of the season going out in the sunset. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and of course, we have the winter solstice tomorrow. So, the last day of fall, technically. I mean, I haven't thought of it as fall in about a month, but
yeah,
the way I always thought, when I was a kid, I thought winter started in November and ended in February. But really what I've learned is that it starts in December and basically ends in April.
Yeah.
And it's just, my mind wanted it to be evenly split between, the end of one year and the beginning of another, like in my head as a child.
Yeah,
but now I'm just learning
like
it's more on the front end of the year than it is anything else.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's just like the math and geometry of space-time. Always thought that and always did it that way, but Kyle's brain, even recently, I'm like, once we get to November, it's wintertime,
Pretty much. Even in November, at least where I live, it's still, you have those warm days here and there. It's almost like it doesn't know what it wants to do yet in that transition period. Then December, you're just cold.
Yeah, it's getting chilly out here in Chicago. But we haven't really gotten a whole lot of snow. We had one snowy day, and that was the day I had my FRS at home and got to drive to work in the FRS and snow tires and couldn't even get it into the parking lot because it was so slippery. So, yeah, a lot of fun. And then, of course, I put it away, and it hasn't snowed since.
Soon enough.
Yeah.
Be back in commission eventually.
So left-hand side of the screen is your starting lineup for this one. It's just how we effectively finish the first race. So Ken Howe Seal, which is the car I'm watching, is going to start all the way back in 13th place. Murphy Nichols, I don't have on the grid yet.
He never showed up for the first race, so
okay.
Unlikely to race at all.
Got it.
He did practice and qualify.
I could have sworn we started with all 15 cars.
I'm not sure what happened, but he didn't make the grid, so he won't race tonight. Had a great run last week, though. That was his one win of the season, I think, in TCR, and he pulled away.
He did. He really dominated that race. That was a job well done in that Veloster. Was that a VIR? It sure was.
Yes.
And what a great combination. VIR and TCRs or the Porsche Cup car, just a legendary combo. I remember a couple years ago, it really wasn't that long ago, that I was just dying for a rescanned Watkins Glen and a rescanned VIR, and now we have them. And just the tracks in the eastern United States are just unbelievably fun, and finally have them look the part. It really is special. Now, even Laguna Seca, it was one of the first ever tracks to get a graphics refresh. That graphics refresh just happened to be in like 2011 versus a little bit later when we got Road America and so on and so forth.
And it's just shows how far the Sims came. If you compare all the old scans to refreshes, old Road America, old version of VIR, Laguna Seca, just all these tracks. The Road Atlanta, another one that got a refresh. Lime Rock as well. They pop so much more on the cams compared to what they used to. Just so much more visually appealing, and the racing got even better.
Yeah, Lime Rock in particular is such a great example of the differences between iRacing's past tech and their future tech. Of course, Mugello just came out last build. That's another exceptional looking track. Okayama as well. I'd expect to see that on some calendars as it's free and new content. But for the last time this season, we're going to get our last green flag of the fall 2023 Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. Alessandrini, Ryan Otis alongside. SimTV goes into its 6th full year of operation in next February, and the guy that connected all the parts together is on pole in this race. DJ Alessandrini brought us into this world 6 years ago, and we're bringing out year 5 with a DJ Alessandrini pole. Green flag. Otis, Taggart, Chrissy, Zoo, your top 5 headed down into turn 1.
Alessandrini again away with that lead. Lock up from Sawicki, but he keeps it off of everyone else as they're going to stay side by side for second. Otis around the outside keeps it this time.
And Ken Hauseal up a couple of spots in the opening couple of corners. He has no time to waste, but he's getting boxed in between Enzer and Kobach, and Alessi just up the road. He's got to make these passes very, very quickly. Look at the throttle up. He's in the dirt. They're 2 wide. We're going to be 3 wide for a moment.
Oh, that's not going to work. Someone's going to have to back out, but they're going to be only back to 2 wide by the corner entries. Hauseal's just trying to make up for lost time very quickly, already up to 10th. Meanwhile, up ahead, Otis fended off. Taggart, who's a little wide. Chrissy's got a run on him up to the corkscrew. Side by side into the braking zone here. Who's going to give? Chrissy lunges into the corkscrew. He's got the pass complete. A little bit of a wiggle and a wobble on the downhill section. Then Kevin Zoo closes in from 5th. Then it's Bruce, Sawicki, Alessi, Enzer, and Hauseal's been stuck there for the remainder of the lap. Made up 3 spots in the opening corner and been stuck there since. Oh, Chrissy's wide in the second last corner. Taggart will have another run back. Driver's right. Oh, way off is Ryan Otis. He's going to completely miss the corner. He's going to lose almost all his track position. Yeah, he's going to get rolling again, but he's going to crash in the back behind him even. Trying to see who that was. Alessi and Enzer, yeah. Castellino wide as well. Hauseal has damage from that, maybe. Whoa, Zoo's a little hot into 1. Chrissy, Taggart. Go back and look at that crash with Enzer and Alessi to see how this brewed. Enzer on defense here, or actually rather on offense, just gets in there a little hot and makes contact. See Hauseal get a piece of contact there as well. And Castellino just kind of went wide on his own. He's a little bit. Enzer was very deep, and just didn't make that work, and just barely clipped Alessi with his right rear. Just spun him around, and Hauseal, like you said, also nowhere to go. Yeah, he was just spinning on his own and just happened to collect Alessi, unfortunately. Otis trying to work his way back by Richard Sawicki. This is going to get tight down here. Pass into the corkscrew, and he's through. I think Sawicki made sure to facilitate that pass. I don't think he really wanted to hold him up or get into contact with him. Someone's gone way off up at the top. That's Ed Harris. On straight at the corkscrew. Had a bit of a struggle tonight. I think he just reset as well. I call it a night. Oh yeah, that's just late. Missed the breaking point by 1.5 miles into the tire bundles there. A pretty good clip. Kevin Zoo and Taggart for 3rd. Zoo in the blue car. He's been consistent tonight, but he wasn't really in the battle last race. Taggart on that outside, not a lot of grip out there, but if you keep overlap, then you have the preferred lane, which you will have, and you'll clear Zoo back, and now Zoo's going to have to fight back to get that spot again as Francois Brou trying to close in on that battle. Jack Chrissy just pulling away from those guys as now he's clear the second again. This time he'll try to keep it. You can feel the understeer there, watching Kevin Zoo navigate turn 5, and then he's got Brou right behind him. See, Brou doesn't get the turn in he needs. Following closely is really challenging. You get the benefit of the draft on the straights, but the corners are tricky. Gosh, that rumble strip. Now on the real world, there's some extra pavement out there you can use as a buffer before the gravel starts, but not here in iRacing. Yeah, just another case of iRacing curse as, ooh, Otis missed the corkscrew. He's going to have to straight line it behind these guys. So he'll lose those positions back, and Hauseal gets by him as well as Sawicki. And add Kobach to the list. overdriving. I was about to say almost on that first lap, he was keeping a decent pace with DJ, but then he just looks like he's just overdriving a little bit. As, oh, Chrissy's around from second again.
Oh, in the same corner, too. And does get into the wall.
Notice pit.
And he was out completely in the green, and you see him tap the gravel there. And the gravel's what did him in. The green's fine. But watch the right rear tire here, right there. Unloads the diff, and around he went.
All it takes, one in the gravel will just completely send you around, as everyone else is going to have to scramble to keep that spot. I don't think Chris is going to get even back close to where he finished last time. He finished 4th, and now he's all the way back in close to the 9th position as Brackman got sideways in front of him. He'll get by him, but now the battle's up ahead as Hausil, with that damage, is going to struggle to gain more positions, but he is still up to 6th.
Yeah, I'm curious. This is a new damage model car, so I'm curious to see how much the damage is going to affect him. Doesn't look to be all that bad. Did get a slight clip as he went by the Alessi and Enzer battle. Zoo's hot into the corkscrew, and he's going to be chasing the car all the way down through Rainy Curve, but Francois Brou wasn't able to pounce on him as quickly as he should have.
Yes, he actually somehow made the corner better than I thought. He didn't really go off track even, but that'll definitely hurt the performance of those brakes, and that tire under braking has really locked up that left front as here goes Brou.
Oh, he slipped, and that's going to allow Brou to just go by easily here. I say easily.
Easily, but Zoo, see if he tries to get back in the slipstream, he won't, so that move will be done. As look at it, oh, from afar, they almost made contact in the one, but they'll keep it all clean from our view, and even behind them, Sawicki and Hausil are doing battle in turn 1.
Yeah, I think Hausil's not going to waste too much time back here, but he's got to make this pass clean, and it's easier said than done. But Sawicki didn't get a great run out of 3, but turn 4 is not really a passing opportunity. You're going to wait to the run to 5 and use the slipstream here. But I don't even know if he'll get there by then. No, he will not.
On the exit. Yeah, depends on the exit here. Maybe you try it before 6. Once again, Sawicki just slow through the center. Even here, it's not really enough of a run to commit to a move. This is what you do. You kind of sit right on their behind and try to maybe pressure him into a mistake, which you did with Sawicki. Now he gets driver's left into a corkscrew.
That was beautifully done. Patient. Sawicki's going to let him go. Jams on the brakes a bit early. Hausil, regardless, is hot into the corkscrew, not wasting any time trying to get a podium out of this, but he's got 1.7 seconds to drive up to Kevin Zhu in the 1.
Yeah, Zhu and Brou, 3rd and 4th. Hausil just trying to make up for the lost time with missing the start of race number 1. So he's going to try to stay with him, probably learn something from Hausil. Co backs wide behind them, and then you got a battle behind these guys, another 3-car battle. It's Chrissy just trying to recover back up to the 8th position, bringing Nathan Brackman and Louis Alessi with him. Whoa, big slide for Brackman. Here comes Alessi.
And to the inside comes the 43. Brackman will have to leave the door open. Too big of a head of steam to shut that valve off, and down the inside into the Andretti hairpin at turn 2. He's through.
A good controlled move, not overdriving it to make it work. And he might set sail in front of Brackman if he can just keep the car on the track. And that was the closest battle on track. Now the battle for 3rd kind of got a little wide, but it's tightened up a little bit again.
Zhu riding the rumbles into 6, but he's wide.
Too wide.
Grabs the gravel. It's going to cost him a bit, but regardless, the slipstream gained him so much, but not enough to get alongside. He'll tuck in behind. A little push on the downhill there. Didn't get the car settled.
Hard to you don't want to follow that driver, but you really have no choice but to do so in every single part of this track. But even still, keeping a decent gap even with the dirty air hindering him, as that Francois Brou machine, the number 69, just gonna be in clean air as Darian Taggart's pulled away for 2nd now. No challenge this time for Ryan Otis, so he should maintain that spot, but we've seen a 2nd place driver spin from 2nd twice already.
Yeah, and that's what I said, between the races, is that you don't have a lot of comfort, and look at Brou make a mistake. Zhu tried to throttle up, but he got loose as well, spinning the rear tires on these cars, and you don't have a lot of maneuverability. Well, you have maneuverability, but you don't have stability because of the short wheelbase. Here comes Kevin up the inside. Brou left him space, and he's through.
I'm shocked he left him space. He was not there, but Francois Brou got worried, I think, that he would fire it in there, so he ends up giving up the spot, and now he's going to lose another to Hausil. No, Hausil could not force the issue, blinking the lights on the front of the car. He wants to go, and he wants to go now, but he's going to have to wait. He's going to take the same move again that he did on Sawicki, but he couldn't really pressure him into a mistake that time, and he'll look, and Brew's going to protect into the corkscrew.
Battle for third is pretty electric. There's a battle for sixth going on back here between Sawicki and Kobach as well. Try to keep you trained on the one that's most exciting, and it appears to be this one for the moment.
Oh, they almost made contact.
Up here, this one got exciting quickly.
Yeah, Halcyon, I don't know if he missed the corner or Brew just went softer than he thought, but they almost made contact. Or fortunately, they didn't.
This was coming down through Rainy Curve. Watch the multicolored car. That's Halcyon, Brew in the red and silver. Yeah, I think you're right. Ooh. Just more conservative entry, I think, than I think Ken was anticipating. And Andretti hairpin.
It is.
Brew goes Halcyon.
And Andretti hairpin claims another one.
It's just such an easy
missing that braking zone. Yeah,
it's tricky because the braking zone's curved, right? If you brake in a straight line across the racetrack, no concern. But because the track bends, if you're right at the edge of the first corner, when you hit the brakes, you have to follow the edge of the track, and that requires you to turn. The second you turn while you're braking, you reduce your car's ability to do both of those things at the same time. So it really is a tricky braking zone, and if you make a mistake, there's a second apex that someone can set you up to go by in.
Yeah, and it's definitely been playing a factor. Everyone is really just messing up that braking zone. That's where they're missing it as that battle for six continues. Kobach tried to get up the inside of Sawicki pretty late in the corkscrew. That was a heck of a dive. Might even miss the corner and not even meant to do that, but it didn't work. But he is a little closer now.
Yeah, I didn't really try to get there. He was there, but then just couldn't quite ink the deal. As out front, Alessandrini's 11.3 second lap, coming to 5 to go next time by.
Consistently a second faster than Darian Taggart in second.
That's unbelievable. I'm sure he's got some setup magic helping. This is one of those cars that I don't think the fixed setup is very good. It really lends to understeer. And while we've seen people lose it, it's not in the high-speed corners. It's all the low-speed stuff where you're not going to notice much of a difference in the setup anyway. It's all comes down to throttle and brake control. But DJ might have it trimmed out a bit better. So usually a track like this, you're going to set this up to go pretty high downforce.
Yes.
Because there's not that much straight. But if you can get in clean air and not have any dirty air to contend with, you can trim it out pretty well.
Yeah, I think at a track like maybe Monza, you would do that for low downforce, and these things could fly. That would be fun to watch, but not the case. Definitely right on the high downforce part. You really don't. As long as you have the high downforce, getting slipstream from someone shouldn't matter because you could just pull away in every other part of the track. So whatever DJ's got in there, it's going to work. As Halcyon, big run on Zoo this time, but he's going to wait for the slipstream up the straightaway.
Yeah, I don't know that Zoo's in the gravel, so is Halcyon, but Ken got a much better run. If Zoo covers this off, he'll keep the spot, but I don't think that he will. He's going to leave the door open. Here comes Halcyon down the inside. He should grab this third spot pretty easily. No, he backs out.
No.
Zoo's in deeper, but too deep.
And Zoo's going to try to throttle back up, but couldn't do it. Halcyon's through, and he should, in theory, pull away for this third position. A heck of a drive from 13th to that third position.
And Kobach and Sawicki, this is the battle that doesn't end, is it?
See who wants to end it, but seemingly neither of them want to yet as we get close to that 4 lap to go range, as he's throwing a lot at Sawicki already, just really not able to do much yet.
Up towards turn 6. Love this over-the-shoulder gyro cam here as we turn into 6. Just wish you could get the sense of compression that makes turn 6 such a fun corner. Jack Chrissy in pit lane. Let's see what happened.
It's like a lot more damage this time.
Turn 5.
Wide. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna kill the suspension and kill his race for sure. A lot of speed, but just not able to keep it on track.
Yeah, a ton of speed, but this car will bite you if you're not too kind to it. Alessandrini, where's he at? 4 laps to go, coming to 3. Car spun right in front of him. That's David Castellonia.
Another one who struggled, and I don't even know if DJ could have even seen where he was going to go.
Oh, he jumped the curb and then spun up the rear wheels.
Here goes DJ.
David still just getting rolling now, letting the field go by.
Ooh, it's going to really slow down Enser. This might really slow down Sawicki here if they're not careful. They will get out of his way in time instead. Might not get out of Kobach's way in time. Yes, they will.
Yeah, Kobach had to shallow up his entry quite a bit to facilitate that pass. 6/10 between them. That is the closest battle on the racetrack besides Enser and Castellonia that just went a lap down. And DJ's coming to 3 laps to go.
No pressure in the world. He hasn't had pressure for maybe a month now or something.
Yeah, is there a mercy rule? I feel like there should be a mercy rule like in T-ball.
It's competition caution. When there's no competition, you throw it. Circa Truck Series caution clock.
Yeah, exactly. Sawicki locked up into 11. It's let Kobach close back in. That gap is down to just 0.3 again. But Kobach hasn't been able to seal the deal on this. He's just been so close so many times. Let's see if Sawicki overdrives it on entry. He's done a nice job, Sawicki has, of being defensive and not making enough mistakes for Kobach to capitalize and complete the pass and also keep it.
Yeah, oh, a little slide there. Kobach's got to run, but nowhere to really go with it. Sawicki, you can tell every time in turn 1, it seems like he is protecting that driver's left line through the hairpin, not letting Adam Kobach even have a shot to even get the nose under him, which is very smart. And he's probably going to have to do the same thing in a corkscrew, be a little protective through there, because that's going to be another zone where he could probably challenge. He already has challenged into the corkscrew a couple of times.
I see turn 6 as a really critical corner. If you can get through there a lot better, you can gain a lot of time. Even if you can't make the pass up here, you can just close so much ground because turn 6 is such a precise corner. If you make the slightest mistake, it costs you a ton of time. DJ takes 2 laps to go, half a second between these two for 6th.
Kobach's just going to have to find something at this point. He's been close so many times, but it seems like when he gets close, that rubber band widens out and he loses that time back. Firing it into the corners is not going to get you many places, as Enser is a little bit wide, but keeps it straight. He's running out of time. You got to switch up your driving style at some point, maybe to try something different to hope you can make the move.
Yeah, it seems like Kobach doesn't get through the last couple of corners as well as Sawicki does. Sawicki really doubled his lead from Kobach from 0.3 to 0.6 in the last 3 corners alone, but then Kobach starts to eat in as we get to this infield section there. But Sawicki's doing an excellent job.
Yeah, Sawicki is going to try to hold on to this. I think if Ken Alceel got through the field a little bit quicker, he could have had a shot at Darren Taggart for second. He's only about 2.4 seconds behind him and gaining on him per lap, but just going to run out of laps.
Yeah, Donnelly doesn't have enough time. He's done a nice job tonight. Again, started this race all the way back in 13th place. But Alessandrini picks up the white flag. 1 more lap in the season, and this is your closest fight. Sawicki and Kobach again. It seems like it always comes down to about 0.3, and then this is where Sawicki's able to pull the gap back out to 0.6.
We'll see what happens here. It just looks like really Taggart maybe not pushing it as hard, but you can see that gap does widen out. But then he really fires into the final corner and really hops that curb to get some of it back. But not close enough to really utilize that slipstream before making that position up.
Yeah, Kobach lost almost all that ground in just turn 10 alone. And what stinks about that is a corner that sets you up to your final passing opportunity. So unless Sawicki gives him a gift here, I don't think Kobach's got the tools in the tool chest to make the changes he needs to beat Sawicki for P6.
He's going to have to find something to get him in a corkscrew, but he's losing time even in his best corners this time around, not closing in quite in time.
So we'll check back in on that fight because I don't think it's completely done, but Alessandrini is going to put a bow tie on the season. And to no one's surprise, another dominant season and another dominant race. DJ Alessandrini goes into wintertime, a race winner once again.
Sorry, Sawicki really locked up into the corkscrew. I don't think it's going to hurt him, but almost completely threw it away there. And Kobach's close, but he has not been good enough through here, but he's there.
Yeah, he's going to need a good run through turn 10. It's been a weaker corner. Sawicki's been driving in deeper. Checkered flag here. Kobach throws it down the inside, but it's not going to be enough unless Sawicki makes a mistake, and he will not. Checkered flag, Taggart second, Hausiel third, Zoo fourth, Roof fifth, then Sawicki, then Kobach as they come across the stripe.
And Alessi in the final corner now. He'll take the checkered flag in a couple of moments. A little bit more spread out this race, but pretty fun stuff to close out this season.
Yeah, interesting car and track combination. I think with a field of 40 and some bigger tracks, this car really could be an interesting one to watch race. But let's go through our race results here before we sign out for the evening. Ignore the Porsche badges there, but Alessandrini, Taggart, Hausil, Zoop, Brew, your top 5. Well done by DJ, just calm, cool, collected, and did what DJ does.
His gap this race was not as big as the gap in the first race, but even still dominated, never really lost a lead. He had the lead from the very start, and no one could challenge him once again. Hausil, I don't even know if he started second, he could have challenged him. He was fast. I think he could have been the best of the rest if he could have gotten the Taggart, but once again, didn't seem like anyone had anything for DJ. Yeah,
and looking down the rest of the order, those that didn't have such good nights, David Castellina, Jack Chrissy. Jack Chrissy, probably the missed opportunity of the night to run better than he did as far as positions. Had great pace, just not great consistency. You need both to be successful.
Yeah, definitely not, but he ran second for so long in both races. He really lost it in the final 2 laps of the first race. In the second race, was trying a little bit too hard, a little bit too wide in a few places on the track. I think it was the final corner a number of times as well. He spun at least 3 times tonight, but definitely had the speed, just nothing to show for it.
Yeah, with that, we're going to wrap things up for the season here for the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. As we finish out the season, Connor, just such a fun combination between the TCRs and the Porsche Cups, but this was a good one looking forward to next season.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Whether it's going to be the same or not, either way, TCRs and Porsches, they mix it up so well this season at all the tracks. Whether it was tight tracks like Lime Rock or Summit Point, which produced sometimes chaos. Even Watkins Glen, another track that produced some crazy racing, multi-class as well. But then we still had really great racing. We will not forget the finish at Mosport for a while. Crazy racing there, but it was incredibly fun, and we should be seeing more of that in 2024.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks so much for watching on Sim TV. We'll see you next season here with the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.